This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for One in the World with Paul Seaburn and his sidekick, John DiNallo, on a Wednesday afternoon, not a Tuesday. Welcome, Paul.
Wow, I hope this doesn't screw anybody up, Karen. It's for us being on Wednesday. They're gonna have their whole week is discombobulated, and at least we're on at the right time. So,
Yes.
uh, but enough about that. Why are why are you listening to us on Wednesday? Because because. And why are you listening to us? Because we're What in the World, everybody's favorite weird news show. Real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our motto. We're here every week bringing you the best and the finest in weird, strange news from around the world. The weird world records and the stupid things people do, and the Bigfoot and the monsters and the aliens and all that good stuff. No politics, no religion, no business, no stock market, none of that kind of stuff. You're here for good, clean, somewhat clean.
I'm glad you
Hey,
put that caveat in there, Paul. That's good.
there you go, John. Yeah. I am the host. I'm also head writer and editor at mysteriousuniverse.org. Some of you may have come here from there. Thank you for doing that. It's a great place to get even more weird news, but really weird news, not so much on the funny side. Funny, nothing but fun on What in the World. Let's introduce. I want to say hello to Janet, who was disappointed that we weren't on yesterday, and Brian as well. So you guys, I hope you're getting your What in the World fix today. And special shout out to the Dallas Wings, our favorite WNBA team. They are winning, according to Karen. So
yes, they are.
Yeah, their season could continue on for a while, and that's good for them and good for us because we like watching them. Okay, let's see. Voice number one in your ear when you turned us on would be Karen Hale, the producer of our show, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net. That's our platform. Excuse me. That is where you can find all about our show, where to download it, how to find us on YouTube, which is always a good idea because we have some great photos that go along with the story, so you can see those there. Let's see, did that cover everything? Oh, and Karen also has a lot of other great podcasts on newclevelandradio.net. And if that's not enough, and it's not, Karen is also the proprietor of Yes I Can Coaching with Karen, which is also our sponsor. So if you need a coach, not like the Dallas Wings don't need a coach, but everybody else needs a coach, call Karen. Let's see, no basketball. You said no basketball, no lacrosse, but everything else I think you cover. Is that?
Well, I don't cover baseball either. No sports.
No sport. Oh, okay, no sports. All right. Hey, great segue. Speaking of sports, our other voice that you heard in your other ear is none other than John DiNallo, our sports commentator, color commentator, trivia guy, all around good guy. He's back from Florida and dressed to the part. Hey, John, how you doing today?
Paul and Karen and audience doing great, actually. Back in town, back in Cleveland after being in Florida. So still have the Florida vibe. And I cannot take credit for this outfit because my wife Annette is the one who said, you should probably put a Hawaiian shirt on or whatever in honor of us being in Florida as we were. I said, okay, all right. So we're kind of going with the flow here and seeing how it goes.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, go with the flow. Yeah, that sounds like a toilet reference there.
Not really, but it's okay.
John normally has on some sports outfit. For those of you who aren't watching us on YouTube today, despite it being in Florida, he has a Hawaiian shirt on and also a very unusual hat that I'm sure blocked some of the rays of sun from your head. Good hat to wear back in Cleveland because I think today it's warmer than it was in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. So
seems like it. I mean, we brought the heat with us, evidently. Yeah, it's really warm outside.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's cool where you are listening to us. And let's get right to it because I know you're here to hear all about the strange news this week. Great stuff this week, as always. We've got strange dentistry in Kathmandu. Boy, we don't get too many stories from Kathmandu. This is a really unusual one. And a giant tongue in Texas. very popular story on my Facebook page. We'll be digging deeper into the giant tongue. We get kinky on this show, I guess. Let's see. Oh, John's back. That means we've got Bigfoot news for John. We've got
All
Bigfoot
right.
news. Oh, yeah. From Pennsylvania, not right down the street from us. Virginia, also right down the street from us. And an unusual Bigfoot imprint from Georgia. You're going to want to see this if you're just listening. This is a little bit of incentive to take a look on YouTube and see what we've got from Georgia. The world's worst retirement party, and why you got a gold watch at your retirement party if you did get one. Interesting story behind that. Plus more odd news. We've got some world records. We've got trivia. John's got some another unusual sport for us. So let's get. And then of course, Brian, special request. He was so disappointed we didn't play Bluff the co-host yesterday. Brian, we got Bluff the co-host for you today. Everybody's favorite weird news show. So it's the Brian show today.
Kudos to Brian. Sure.
He's a good guy. He's a really good guy, and we're glad to show for him here. Maybe one of these days he'll come back to Cleveland and visit us. We'll put him on the show. That'd be a lot of fun.
That's good.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get right to it. So summer's almost over, but there's still time to take a trip. If you haven't taken a vacation yet, you want to go get away for a couple of days, still time to do it. We're here to give you vacation tips for it. You get all kind of stuff from What in the World. Vacation tips. This one is, if you're looking for to go a little farther than just down the road, maybe longer than a weekend, Kathmandu is the place to go. Why? Because you might see Bob Seager there. He's the one who said he was going to Kathmandu.
That's right. Bob Seager.
In the mountains where I'm going to, right, John?
That's right, Paul. That's right.
Get out of there. What's he going to do?
Oh,
that's what he's going to do. Yeah.
He's going to Kathmandu. in a rhyming way.
Kathmandu, great song by Bob Seger. Bob Seger's retired. I thought he was still touring, but he's alive, but he's retiring. And he's from Detroit.
He's retired, yes.
So I was thinking, Bob Seger's from Detroit. He recorded that song like in 1974, 75. Why would a young guy in Detroit want to go to Kathmandu? And then I found out this week.
Wait a second. Have you ever been to Detroit?
Yes, I.
Then you know.
Okay. So that answers half the question, Karen. You understand why he would want to leave Detroit, but why would he want to? How much better is Kathmandu than Detroit? Is it eons better? He could have gone to Kalamazoo. Maybe that was it. He wanted to go to Kalamazoo. He wasn't good at spelling, and he kind of got Kathmandu and Kalamazoo mixed up. Or he had a toothache, and that's my theory here. Yeah, he had a toothache. So why would you go to Kathmandu if you had a toothache? Let's find out. If you go there, there's something called the toothache tree. And I stumble over my words there because I wanted to get a photo up here for us of the toothache tree. So here we go. Let's see. Oh, we didn't mention my book. What would you say to a naked space alien? Everybody's favorite naked space alien book, available now on Amazon. If you don't know where Amazon is, go to paulseaburn.com, my website, and you'll find out all about it with a link to the book. I talked to some people who read it this week, and they said it was the funniest UFO book they've ever seen. So I appreciate the plug, Cindy and Rich. Thank you so much. All right, let's go. We've got the toothache tree in Kathmandu. So the toothache tree is a stump that was cut from a mythical tree in known as the Bangamuda tree. That's a word for you to pronounce, John, not me. Bangamuda. It was, and it's covered with coins from Nepal, which is where Kathmandu is, that are nailed into the trunk of this piece of tree. Why would they do this? Well, this tree dates back to the Lichavi Kingdom, 400 CE, so 400 AD, depending on which terminology you like to use. Almost 2,000 years ago, 1,600 years ago, this was a sacred tree, and people call it the toothache tree because the goddess of the tree was supposed to help relieve them of dental problems. So they didn't have dentists back then. They didn't have dental hygienists back then. They probably didn't have toothbrushes or Crest extra strength.
You're right.
Really?
So they took coins and they nailed them to the tree, hoping that the goddess would be pleased and resolve their toothache for them. I like this idea. I think, I've got a bunch of trees in my yard. John, you've got a couple trees in your yard too. We could make some money. We could make some money doing this, spreading a rumor that we have a tree that relieves toothaches.
Honestly, Paul, never thought of that, but I guess you're right.
Yeah. But all they got to do is come up and nail a coin to the tree. I was trying to figure out what coin would be good to nail to the tree. And then, George Washington probably looks bad with a hole in his head. But the penny, it would make Lincoln's picture a little more authentic. But, I'm not going to go through all this pennies. So I was thinking then people might complain, well, the toothache didn't go away. So, or even worse, they hit their thumb and now they got a toothache and a thumb ache, and it's all my fault. So, though, 4 out of 5 dentists surveyed said, in Nepal, they said 4 out of 5 dentists surveyed said, at least come to them so they can tell you the right coin to nail for the toothache that you have. So believe it or not, that's not a joke. That's a true story. This tree with the toothache tree is so popular and so many people come to nail their coins to it because of their toothaches, that dental clinics have popped up on all of the roads leading to the coin. So if you nail the coin and your toothache doesn't go away, on your way back, there's billboards everywhere touting the services of Tibetan dentists who will really get rid of your toothache.
Interesting. Good idea. Yeah.
Well, I'm curious. So does it work? Do people swear by this, or do people?
What happened, John? Did you break a tooth or something?
No, I did not, but I'm just curious about that.
They've been doing it for 1,600 years, so I guess it does. I guess for some people, it does.
Seeing is believing, I guess, right? Okay.
Well, can you have a psychosomatic toothache? I don't know. I don't know enough about dentistry to hard to believe. I know about a little bit about everything, but I don't know enough about dentistry that can you imagine? Can you hallucinate a toothache and then make it go away by thinking you some god in Nepal? No, I don't. We're not even going to be there. I don't want to influence anybody to go to Nepal on my account and nail this just because they have a toothache. Go to Kathmandu and see the real reason why Bob Seger went there, which I'm not sure what it is, other than it was better than Detroit. I don't know. Do they have a better baseball team? Let's move on. Let's move on. See how's our time looking here. I was just getting back to, I put a lot of thought into the hole in the tree, the hole in the coin part, in case John and I did decide to do this. Somebody was just telling me a story. Banks don't like funny money anymore. He knew a guy who buried cash in his backyard instead of going to the bank. And then somebody said, you got to dig that money up and take it to the bank. So he took it to the bank, and the bank said they wouldn't take it because there was dirt all over it. So he put it in the washing machine on gentle, I suppose, and washed it, and then took it to the bank, and then they took it. So I'm afraid that, I'd have a roll of quarters with nail holes in them, and they just wouldn't take them, and I'd be stuck with $10 worth of George Washington with a hole in his head.
What would happen, Paul? Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Best story this week. Get ready for this if you're watching this on YouTube or watching us live. Brittany Lacayo is a dentist. I got a dentist on the brain. But you'll find out why when you see the picture. She's an attorney in Texas, and she just set a Guinness World Record for the widest tongue on a female. Her tongue measured, get ready for this, across 3.11 inches, which is as wide as most women's tongues are long. So stick your tongue out. That's how long your tongue is. This poor lady, and I say she's poor, she proudly owns a Guinness World Record. Her tongue is 3.11 inches wide as your tongue. Even more amazing, the people at Guinness have a person who's responsible for measuring tongues. How about that? I didn't. Sounds like a good side gig, John, huh?
Yeah, really. Wow.
You have to go to
Full-time employment. Full-time employment for someone, right? Wow.
And I bet you got a ruler that could handle the job too. She's a lawyer. She paid for law school. She worked her way through law school by as a freelance envelope licker.
Wow. Hey.
There we go. She likes going to all-you-can-eat restaurants, but she's not allowed to get ice cream. You can figure that out why. I'm not even going to try and get past the YouTube censors with what people were writing on my Facebook page when I posted the picture. Some of them were creatively very dirty and very funny, but we're not going to go there. But the one I can't say, I'm sure she got a lot of marriage proposals, or at least, first date proposals. But think about it. With a tongue that wide, she probably can't French kiss on a date. Because
that's a thought to ponder, I guess, Paul. It's a thought to ponder for sure. Wow.
It could be she could be responsible for a death. I mean, it could be attempted murder by wide tongue, something like that.
Wow.
So I had enough comments about licking that it reminded me of the famous commercial. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? Remember that commercial?
Yep.
I do. Yes, I do.
Do you remember how many licks it took you to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
I could not tell you, folks. I'm not sure.
When was the last time you had a Tootsie Pop, John?
Actually, not that long ago, because the restaurant, the Courtyard Cafe, which is in your city.
Oh, yeah.
When you go there, either if you're having dinner there or you're getting food to go, they offer complimentary Tootsie Pops to everyone.
Yep.
No kidding. Oh, I haven't. It's been a while since I've been there. I did not realize that. Well, I'll have to go and get a Tootsie Pop. Sure. Believe it or not, let's see. What was I going to say about? Oh, so that commercial, how many licks would it take? Dates back to 1969. That was when that commercial was first run in 1969. It was there was an owl. I don't know if you remember this. A little kid ran up to an owl with his Tootsie Pop and asked the wise owl how many licks it would take to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop. And the owl started licking it, and I think he just chewed the end off of it, which is what we all do. However, believe it or not, a number of colleges studied this as a science project to determine. Yeah. This is what, Karen, before they were allowed to do this, they had to get a liquor license.
Good work.
Okay.
So here's what Purdue University, Big Ten school, Purdue University concluded in their study that it took an average of 365 licks to get to the center. And they used a licking machine. So they didn't even use students. They used a licking machine. When they did use students, it took the students an average of 253. So students licked harder than the machine. Now, you ex-Michigan residents and Michigan fans, the University of Michigan also did a test on licking Tootsie Pops. They found that it takes 412 licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. So kids at University of Michigan are obviously slower lickers. Is that
I
because
guess, right.
They
Wow.
savor it.
they're what?
Okay,
They
you're good, Karen.
savor it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to go there. Then Swarthmore College. Where do you know where that is, John? Swarthmore
Yeah.
College.
Isn't that Pennsylvania?
Is it? Okay, I think you're.
so. Yes, I think so.
Yeah, Karen. Okay, great. Swarthmore College found out that it takes 146 licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. Now, I'm not sure if they use the machine or if they use students. This is why other countries are ahead of us in science, because we waste our time on studies like this instead of finding the cure for cancer or how to get to Mars. We're licking Tootsie Pops. And now I want one. John, let's meet at Courtyard.
All right, that sounds like a good idea, Paul. I think that would be great. That'd be great.
In here for Courtyard too. Maybe they'll sponsor us. Okay, number 2 story of last week. Woman in Whitworth, England, woke up to find on her roof a flock of sheep. She lives in a house. She finds a flock of sheep on her roof, grazing on whatever it is. Now, it wasn't a grass roof. It was a looks like a clay tile roof, sitting on her roof eating something. She blamed them on her husband, who said that the Ambien and the melatonin just weren't doing it for him anymore. He took the natural approach, I guess.
How'd they get up on the roof?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
She thought it was a burglar, and she was poking her husband. I think there's a bad burglar on our roof. A terrible joke. That was a dad joke for you. Had some damage. She did have some damage on the roof as a result of the sheep being up there. So who would you call if you have sheep damage on your roof? State Farm, of course.
Oh.
So to answer Karen's question, and I'm sure all of you are wondering how they got there. The house is very close to a hill, and there's a fence on the hill to keep sheep and children, I guess, and drunk people from jumping onto the roof. There was a hole in the fence, and the sheep found it and crawled through and jumped onto her roof. You know what happened after the sheep jumped onto the roof? The little dog laughed to see such sport, and the dish ran away with a spoon.
You're on a roll, Paul. You're on a roll.
Bad joke week. There we go on What in the World. Okay, let's move on to food. We love talking about food on What in the World. So, and John loves pizza. I know John loves pizza. So this is a story for you, John. What's your favorite pizza topping, by the way?
Oh, I'd have to say pepperoni and mushroom. Pepperoni and mushroom.
Mushroom. Karen, how about you?
Bacon and black olives.
Boy, bacon and black olives. I like black olives. I don't normally partake of the bacon. I like sausage and mushrooms too. But bacon and black olives, that sounds like a good combination. Well, here's another travel tip for you. If you decide to take a quick vacation trip to Sweden and you happen to order a Swedish pizza, here's what you will get. You will get a pizza called also the Tropicana pizza, because it's covered with smoked ham, curry, pineapples, and bananas, sliced bananas on a pizza, which explains why the most popular dipping sauces are ranch, garlic, and Maalox. Would either one of you or anybody listening out there eat a pizza with bananas on it?
No.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Would you even consider it?
Not me.
Yeah. The only reason there's pizza on bananas on a pizza in the United States is if you went to the cupboard or the refrigerator and the only thing in there was bananas. And even then you might reconsider and just eat it plain. They also in Sweden, other pizza toppings there are shrimp, which I didn't think was a bad one, and peanuts. I don't know about peanuts on a pizza. I love peanuts, I love peanut butter. I don't think I'd want either one of those on a pizza.
Yeah,
John, how about
no,
peanuts?
I wouldn't either, Paul and Karen. I mean, that's like a stretch. Those foods are clearly a stretch on pizza. I'm traditional.
You're half Italian. Isn't there some kind of law in Italy that regulates?
I don't
What
think. I think now it's anything goes, Paul. I think it's anything goes.
really?
Yeah.
We need to fix that. Okay. All right. Well, this is Scandinavia anyway. So I was expecting on a Swedish pizza, one of those pieces of fish, the stuff that they let rot in a barn for a year and then they
And heavy fish. Heavy
yeah.
fish.
Yeah, that's one. There was another one, the lutefisk I was looking up, which lute is the Swedish word for lye, and that's what it is. It's a lye fish. It's cured in lye, not in salt, not in smoke, but in lye for weeks. For weeks they keep it in lye, and then they take it out, and that's not good enough. Then they warm it up until it's a gelatinous blob and then they eat it.
Ooh.
Doesn't sound very appetizing, Paul.
No.
Well, John, now you know why they eat curried banana instead of that stuff. Compared to it, curried banana doesn't taste so bad now.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, so the regular listeners know that our buddy John is a big collector of sports memorabilia, and this was a huge weekend in sports memorabilia sales. The jersey that Babe Ruth wore, the famous jersey Babe Ruth wore during his famous called shot. Do you remember that one, John?
Yes, I do, Paul. Yes.
You want to give us some details on it? Do you remember?
Well, I wasn't there, but no, it was a game against the Chicago Cubs, I believe, and
Good.
and as legend has it, Babe Ruth had pointed directly to the spot that he was going to be able to hit the ball to, and he actually hit a home run to that spot.
Yeah.
That's most of what I can recall about that particular play.
I didn't know that was a World Series game, which made it even bigger.
Mhm.
Because it was probably 1934. There were people listening. It was in 1932. People were listening on the radio to the World Series back then. So everybody heard heard about it and thought, oh boy, if I could just get that sweaty jersey of Babe Ruth, I'd be rich someday. Well, guess what? Somebody is. That jersey that he took it off and they preserved it for history. That jersey sold this week for $24.1 million.
Oh my.
Not including the fee that the auctioneer got for it. $24.1 million. And it's valuable, obviously. And the auctioneers told the new owner, they said, you want to take good care of this. But if you want to get it back to real Babe Ruth 1932 condition, what you have to do is soak it in beer and hot dog water.
To make it authentic, right?
Yeah, get it the right smell, maybe a little mustard.
But what is somebody gonna, I mean, that belongs in a museum, not in somebody's personal collection.
I agree with that 100%, Karen. I don't know why they did not release the name of the person so we could send them a nasty email. But that's it. It was a private, a collection of some sort, not at the Baseball Hall of Fame. Not that, I've never been to the Hall of Fame. John, you've been to the Hall of Fame.
Yes, I have. It's quite a place.
Karen, you probably been there
Yes.
too. They're loaded with Babe Ruth jerseys already, aren't they?
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, but they circulate them. So they put certain things out and then they put them back and then put new stuff out. So
Right.
Yeah, well, maybe next time you go there, ask them why they didn't bid on
I
it.
will.
So that means, like when the oldest person in the world dies, that means number 2 moves up, or the opposite would be so now what was the most expensive piece of sports memorabilia moves down to number 2. Number 2, John, you got a guess on what number 2 was of the former number 1?
Is it a baseball card?
Yeah, I was going to say it's something you collect.
Maybe the Honus Wagner card. There's a famous Honus Wagner baseball card. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's it.
Oh, the old ones that came with tobacco. I would have thought that too. Believe it or not, it is the 1952 Mickey Mantle card that sold for 12.6 million in 2022. So I don't 1952. I'm not sure if that was his rookie card.
Might have been his rookie year then. Yeah.
Yeah. How about that? I was thinking about this. What kind of memorabilia, Karen? This is for you and for your son. What kind of sports memorabilia today would be worth something? Maybe 20 years from now that we could collect and be rich if we're still alive when then, or give some advice to our younger listeners. I wonder what would be valuable, and specifically, what of the Guardians would be valuable?
Wow. Players come and go now. I mean, they don't seem to have longevity like a Babe Ruth had. Okay. And so Babe Ruth was known by everybody, even when, we didn't have media like we have today.
Right.
But I will tell you, my son has a collection of baseball cards, and he has over 10,000 baseball cards.
Wow.
And they are all in books and sleeves.
Wow. Well, that's what they have to be. Yeah.
Yeah, he's hoping someday that it'll be worth something, but and he's collected baseballs too that have been signed.
Oh,
well, that's good.
You
He's hoping
may
to
get your money out of it someday, but you may not. You
He's
buy it
hoping
because you love it.
his mother doesn't throw him out.
No, his mother will not throw him out.
Not in a shoebox like we used to collect them, John. I'm sure John's yours are. I know some of yours are on display. You've got yours in a secure location as well.
Yes, that's true, Paul. But truth be told, many years ago, before baseball cards became very popular and valuable, turns out our mom actually had thrown out my cards, my brother Bob's cards, my brother Frank's cards, not thinking that there was going to be any repercussions from that or whatever. And so I always would give my mom a hard time about that, saying, "Hey, Mom, thanks again for doing that. I mean, understand you cleared some space out of the house. However, you got rid of some things that were valuable. Not even from a sentimental standpoint, but from an actual monetary standpoint."
Yeah. I know that. I had some underwear I'd been saving for years. And lovely Donna threw it out.
In the same category, Paul. I don't know, but.
Okay. Well, the only thing I could think of was an empty bucket of Double Bubble from Tito Francona. If it had Tito's name on it, that might be worth something.
Right.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. So we got one more place to go for vacation this summer. Gurnee, Illinois. Why would you go to Gurnee, Illinois? Not to get a gurney, although you might need one after this. Six Flags Great America has a park in Gurnee, Illinois, and they announced that they're opening a new roller coaster in 2025 called the Wrath of Kashasa. It has a 100. This is a drawing of it. A 171-foot drop that is beyond vertical, 96 degrees. 90 degrees is a vertical drop. So this actually goes backwards, downwards. 96 degrees, reaches a top speed of 67 miles per hour, and it has a record 5 inversions for a roller coaster. That would be a new world record, 5 inversions. It's the perfect place. Gurnee is the perfect place for something like this, because if I rode on that, they would need a gurney to haul me out.
Wow.
I'm not even going to ask. I know neither one of you would go anywhere near a roller coaster like this these days. Rakasha is the perfect name for this thing. This was a god, a Hindu god, that was responsible for evil acts such as this. Get ready for this: disrupting sacrifices or eating humans. So that's just what I want. Yeah, at an amusement park. To me, that's a better name for the corn dogs that they're selling on the Midway, the Wrath of Rakshasa, because I'm sure I would get
at a state fair or what have you, right?
Or state fair, yeah, deep fried butter, deep fried sticks of butter. One of John's favorites, I know, but you're probably more of a deep fried Snickers guy, I bet.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Why do we deep fried banana pizza?
Oh,
Oh my
gee.
gosh.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We'll move on. But why do people spend so much money just to get scared? Although, I get scared every time I see the credit card bill and I spend a lot of money in order. Oh, maybe it's the same concept. I'm not sure. All right. Let's talk about retirement. John's retired. John, you retired from your business. Did you get a nice gift? I'm not going to put you on the spot, but did you get a nice gift when you were retired?
No, I think the company I worked for though had taken me out or what have you for an event. So it was good. It was good.
Okay. So I'm self-employed. When I retire, I plan to give myself everything that's in the company bank account. I'm going to treat myself well. If you can't figure that out, that's my bank account as well. Here's an unusual retirement story from this week. A guy by the name of Kevin Parsons. Kevin Parsons. He lives on Guernsey Island, just off the coast of France, but it's an English island. He started at the Alliance Supermarket on Guernsey Island in 1984. He retired this week. He was awarded for 40 years of service. Get ready for this. He was awarded, I lost it. He was awarded a certificate, which he's holding right there, a mural, a picture, and 40 sausage rolls, one roll for each year of service. That's what he got.
What?
So, really?
Yeah. Everybody felt the same way, including Joe Biden, who sent him a nice note and said, well, at least you got sausage rolls.
Oh.
I know. I said we weren't going to do any political jokes, but I thought that one fit.
That's okay.
So gold, he didn't even get a gold watch. And the guy, they could have given him one of theirs, taken it off and given it to him. I was wondering where the tradition of gold watches started. And believe it or not, giving it for retirement, but it's not that old. And it started with the Pepsi-Cola company in the 1940s. People were retiring, and somebody came up with the idea that you gave us your time, now we're giving you ours. That was the theme that we're coming up with, giving someone a watch. The watch symbolized the time the employees spent working for the company's success and was a reminder of the free time they now had because they no longer worked. And also, they made it gold because, to remind you that you didn't make that much money and you're probably going to have to pawn it. So at least it's gold. I couldn't find any other reason why it was gold.
Yeah, right.
I thought it was older than that, but I guess people didn't retire. They just dropped dead on the job. Sadly.
Wow.
All right, so here's another one here. This was fun. This was a popular one on YouTube. Google has admitted that it allows some people to blur their homes on Google Maps as a way to deter their homes from being burglarized. Only downside to that, there's a picture of a blurred home right there. The only downside to that, they attract a lot of people who think that the reason why it's blurred is because Bigfoot lives there. Ron, that joke's for you.
It's good.
Except they found out crooks aren't stupid. They go on Google Maps, they see a blurred house. What's the first thing they think of? Oh, they're trying to hide something. So my idea is what you do is you blur your neighbor's house and send them over to your neighbor, and then whatever you've got valuable, they'll just ignore your house. They don't say how they do this, but I think they should market this technology. I think that Google should sell this to private people, like a cloaking device. You could blur your car, so when you're driving through one of those cities where they have all those traffic cams, the traffic cam can't see who you are, and you can.
I like that idea.
Yeah, go speeding through there. Or blur yourself. I like this one. Blur yourself. So, it's one of those days when you just don't feel like getting out of your pajamas, but you got to go to Walmart for something. So you just blur yourself. You go to Walmart in your pajamas and nobody's the wiser.
Wait a second. Everybody wears their pajamas to Walmart.
You noticed that too, didn't you? Here's my theory on that. I think some of those people got sold a fake a fake cloaking device by a Google knockoff, and they think that they're blurred, but they're really not. We can all see that they're in the pajamas. I know. I thought about that too. Okay, so John's back from vacation. John, by the way, I'm assuming you didn't see Bigfoot while you were down there.
No, did not really try to pursue him, to be honest with you, or look for him, I should say. No, we did not see a Bigfoot.
I hate to hear that, John, because that's in your employment contract, wherever you go, always look for Bigfoot. That's part of the deal. That's why we pay you the big bucks. Those
Well, there's a reason for everything, I guess, Paul and Karen, right?
Okay, so what do we got? So Bigfoot is getting some big loving around the world, or at least around the United States. It's starting with Pennsylvania. So Derry Borough in Pennsylvania. It's in the southwestern part of Pennsylvania, kind of near Pittsburgh, near Latrobe, and we'll talk about that in a second. They just declared Bigfoot as their borough's official cryptid. And this was a big deal. This is a really big deal. It was on the television on Pittsburgh Today Live. This is a photo from Pittsburgh Today Live. They actually had Bigfoot on as a guest, talking about being the official cryptid of what did I say? It was Derry Borough. John, how does that Bigfoot look to you? I know it's blurred, but
It is blurred. But let me ask you this question: if he's on television, was he speaking? Was Bigfoot speaking? Do you know?
Good question. I don't know. That's a good question. This was a screen capture. They didn't have the YouTube video of Pittsburgh Today. We'll have to look it up and see. Maybe he's waving, I don't know, or accepting a certificate, because they did have a certificate. They said, by proclaiming Bigfoot as our official cryptid, establishing Derry as a sanctuary for Bigfoot, we're embracing our local folklore and the rich history that makes our community unique. So, and look, this is a picture of the city council meeting. They actually ran this through city council. They had meetings on it. Now they're selling t-shirts. This guy, one of these councilmen over here, was showing off one of the t-shirts, the Derry Bigfoot t-shirt. So the other thing is, as part of the proclamation, they said that anyone who finds Bigfoot and brings harm to it in Derry will face the full punishment of the law under the Commonwealth law of Pennsylvania. And I looked to see, under Commonwealth law, what is the worst punishment you could possibly give someone for violating a law like this in Pennsylvania. And the worst punishment is watching a Steelers home game against the Cleveland Browns while sitting in the middle of a bunch of Browns fans.
That would be just desserts, I would say, Paul. Yeah, just desserts.
If that doesn't keep people away from harming Bigfoot, I don't know what will. So in the summer of 1973, there were a lot of Bigfoot sightings in Derry, and that's where all of this got started. So it's near Latrobe. I mentioned that, near Latrobe. John, okay, well, I'll take you back to many years. There was a famous beer brewed in Latrobe. Do you remember what that beer was?
Oh, certainly. It's got to be Rolling Rock.
Rolling Rock in the green bottle. There you go. Rolling Rock beer from the Latrobe Brewing Company came in a green bottle. Also, it had a 33 on the back. I didn't know about this because I never really turned the bottle over other than to pour it down my throat. The 33, people argue about it all the time, what it is. It could be that Prohibition ended in 1933. There's a pledge on the back of the bottle that's 33 words long. So they argue about it all the time. Something to do while you're drinking your beer. But the green bottle, I thought this was interesting. That goes back to World War II. Beer is in brown bottles because sunlight is damaging to beer. So you put it in brown bottles and it deteriorates less, slower until you can drink it. They ran out of brown glass during World War II, so they switched to green, which was the next best thing. And some companies tried to convince you then that green actually made them special and it was a higher quality brew, like Heineken's, for example, puts their beer in green bottles and they charge extra for green. But the answer is it's no better than anything else. And I don't think Heineken's is any better, but they're not a sponsor, are they?
No,
No, not yet.
oh, you dispelled that rumor, or I should say dispelled that myth, I guess, is what it is.
Yeah. So so that's where the Rolling Rock beer came from. Rolling Rock, I don't think you can get Rolling Rock anymore. I'm not. They also were famous for their stubby bottles, but I thought that Cleveland beers also came in stubby bottles, but apparently Rolling Rock claimed that they came up with the idea for stubby bottles.
For stubby bottles, I think though, wasn't Mickey's? Was there a beer called Mickey's that came actually in stubby green bottles, if I remember correctly?
They were in stubby wide mouth bottles.
Yes,
not
they
just
were. Yes.
Yeah, because I remember drinking Stroh's back in our college days in stubby bottles, but it was a little twist off cap. Mickey's had an early precursor to the ring tab, where you pulled out a ring and it was like a bottle of milk.
So to speak.
But yeah, if you pulled that off and you got this big wide, you could chug that down in no time flat. Way to go. Good memory, John. Okay. School's back in session for kids in Leesburg, Virginia, who attend the brand new Watson Mountain Middle School. Why are we mentioning this? Because the Watson Mountain Middle School's mascot is the Yeti. The Yeti. Now, it's everywhere. It's on signs on the school. Kids are wearing the Yeti on their T-shirt. It's even on the gym floor. There's a T-shirt. Here's a gym floor here. Look at that. Really nice photo, a drawing of the Yeti on the gym floor. Parents are upset. Some parents, because they said the Yeti is not an American monster and they should have picked an American monster. Unfortunately, the selection of American monsters was limited to Bigfoot, Dogman, and Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Which one of those are you going to pick? So they went with the Yeti. But the kids, by the way, they asked the kids and they said, well, Yeti cooler. So maybe Yeti will sponsor us. Okay. So what do you say? What do you say now that your team is the Yeti? Do you say go Yetis? Do they have a commercial, a song, like the Ohio State song, Hang On Sloopy, Y-E-T-Y, Y-E-T-I? Kind of hard to say, not O-H-I-O goes better. Yeah. The school is getting solar panels. It's a very modern school. It's going to be 100% solar powered. Which I thought was interesting. But that OHIO comes from what was that song again? Hang On Sloopy. John, quick trivia question for you. Who originally sang Hang On Sloopy?
Rick Derringer and the McCoys.
Rich Derringer and the McCoys. Boy, he even got the lead singer. Oh, very good. Okay, so last one. Bigfoot Museum in Blue Ridge, Georgia. If you're down in Georgia for your vacation, go to visit the Bigfoot Museum, Blue Ridge, Georgia. Why? Because they have a plaster cast of a body part of a Bigfoot. Not a foot, John. This is even better. They have a plaster cast of Bigfoot's butt.
Bigfoot's butt. Oh my God.
Bigfoot's butt. This came from Washington State. It was found by Paul Freeman, who I'm familiar with. He was a famous Bigfoot hunter. He found it in Walla Walla, Washington, 1993. It's not in the best of shape, as you can see. Bigfoot's butt has a crack in it. One more for the road. So they don't say. He was famous for his plaster cast. He was one of the first people to do that, and his plaster casts are used by many researchers. This one is at the museum. He said that this Bigfoot was nearly 8 feet tall, but he didn't say why it was sitting down. John, do you have a theory why Bigfoot might be sitting down in the mud and leaving an imprint?
I don't know, he's maybe walking a lot or running a lot, getting away from people that were, following him or something. I don't know. Is that a plausible reason?
How about, well, that's plausible, yeah. But how about if he was hopping on one foot and he slipped and fell on his butt, and that's all that was left? Maybe
Oh,
that's our proof. That's our proof that Bigfoot hopped on one foot. The other thing that I was thinking, and all I'm going to say is they looked around and they couldn't find any leaves or toilet paper. So
Oh,
I have a feeling
yeah,
they were relieved at that. And so am I, because I don't want a picture of that.
yeah, it's a bad
Okay.
visual. That's a bad visual, but I guess that's possible, Paul. Anything's
There
possible.
you go. All right. That's the end of our Bigfoot section for John. And I mean, we end with Bigfoot because we like to lead into John's segment with Bigfoot. And John's segment, of course, is What in the World of Sports with John DiNallo. John and I go back to our college days. We're fraternity brothers. John knows more about sports than anybody I know. So this is the perfect segment for him. Every week I ask him to find us a sport that fits with the theme of our show. A real sport, sometimes strange, always funny. Every week, you regular listeners know John manages to find one. Sometimes one that we might participate in or maybe sponsor a team, sometimes one that we don't want to have anything to do with. I forget which one it is this week, John. So why don't you tell us? I get your totals all lined up for
Paul,
you.
you're an honest man. There's no question about that. No question. Yes. So Paul, Karen, and audience, our sport is very, very different this week. And if you're looking for a good type of inflation, you'll like this week's sport. And this sport is called bubble football or bubble soccer. Let me explain. Bubble football players, they kick a soccer ball around while half encased inside an inflated plastic bubble that covers the player's entire upper body and also head. There's a good photo of that right there that Paul has.
I'll do a quick description for those of you who are Seinfeld fans and you remember the Bubble Boy on Seinfeld. This is like the Bubble Boy, except their legs are sticking out. Otherwise, they're completely covered in a giant plastic bubble. Cool. So far, go ahead, John.
Okay, this game is typically played in large indoor spaces or on outdoor fields, and every player on both sides must wear the inflatable bubble. Other than that, it is just like regular soccer. Now, you may wonder what the origin is of bubble football. Well,
Uh-huh.
bubble football was first created in Norway in 2011 by Henrik Evelstad and Johan Golden for their TV show that they have there in Norway. It's called The Golden Goal. The game was then brought to the UK by a gentleman by the name of Lee Mosley, and by 2014, the sport had reached all the way to New Zealand and now is in the US, where its governing body is the Bubble Ball Business Association, or the BBA. Now, bubble football got a big boost in 2015 when John Anthony Radosta, who is the league commissioner of the National Association of Bubble Soccer, he appeared on the American TV show Shark Tank. Now,
Wow.
while the Sharks did not invest in the sport, the appearance generated significant press coverage and worldwide exposure.
Wow.
In May of 2018, the first ever World Cup took place in Shoreditch, London, with the finals taking place at Wembley Stadium. The nations
Wembley Stadium. Wow.
at Wembley. So the nations that participated in the World Cup then were Finland, Brazil, Portugal, and Spain.
Huh.
Now, currently, bubble football is often played at corporate team building events, stag parties, bachelor parties, and birthday parties using equipment that is actually rented from the BBA. I mean, think of it. There's not really a lot of sources you can have or channels you can use, to get this kind of equipment, but the BBA has it for you. And there are also several variations of bubble football we'll talk about briefly here. So the first one is bubble bowling. In bubble bowling, a group of pins stands at one end of an outdoor field while a player tries to run and dive at the pins in an effort to knock over as many pins as possible.
Oh, God.
Now, there's also bubble sumo. And in this sport, two players try to push each other out of bounds, which is a circle which is drawn on the ground, similar to sumo wrestling. Then there's another variation called bulldog. You'll find this interesting. One player, designated as the starting bulldog, tries to knock down as many opposing players as possible, thereby stopping them from getting to one end of the field, from one end of the field to the other, I should say. Whichever player gets knocked down then also becomes a bulldog, with the same goal of knocking down other players. So in this sport, you can have people strewn all over the field
Wow.
with people trying to knock them out. So in closing here, folks, bubble ball, I should say, bubble football sounds like a fun sport that is also a good workout while being completely safe. And that you would think that with encased in the bubble, you would be safe. However, you might say it's a great way to have a ball playing in a ball, so to speak. And if she were still here with us, I'm sure it would be endorsed by Lucille Ball.
Ah,
Oh.
Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball on ball soccer, by bubble ball soccer. I think the best part of that story, John, was that it's also popular for stag parties and bachelor parties.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just imagine what goes on there. You can just imagine. You don't need any photos on that one. Let your imagination run wild on that one, folks.
Well, I looked for photos. I couldn't find it. I was wondering what the referees looked like. I have a feeling I know who the referees were. Well, great sport. Wow, that's certainly a weird one. Bubble soccer, bubble bowling, bubble. What was the other one? Bubble bulldog, bubble sumo.
Bubble sumo, right?
I think sport to do. I'm not sure if it would be popular on. I guess it'd be popular on TV if they did it at Wembley Stadium. Boy, that had to be.
Yeah, that's a venerated sports site, obviously, and so there's been all types of sporting events that take place there. So I made it to Wembley, so that just shows you the popularity of it.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised that you said it wasn't created until 2011. I was thinking, back when we were in a fraternity, which was just a couple years before 2011, we participated in something that was very similar to bubble soccer. I don't know. Do you remember doing that?
Paul, I unfortunately my memory doesn't serve me on this one. You'll have to help educate me and the audience.
It was bubble football, but it was bubble American football, and one of the other fraternities, as always, challenged us to a game of bubble American football. So of course, as always, they put John and I in charge of finding bubbles, and we couldn't find any. So John improvised, and what he found us was a waterbed. That was the closest we could come to a bubble. And there's a photo of me inside the waterbed. They shoved me through the hole, so I'm completely encased inside the bubble. And then of course, somebody didn't read the instructions correctly on bubble ball, and instead of blowing it up, maybe they didn't want to put their lips that close to the hole while I was inside, so they just used water. And you know what happened when they put that much water in there? Eventually, the waterbed exploded, and there I am.
Oh wow! I remember this now, Paul. It all comes back to me with the photo.
That's right. No matter how much beer you drank, trying to kill that memory.
That's right. That's right.
Or therapy. That's right. Those years of therapy. All right. Great sport, John. Bubble soccer, and always a good one. Thanks so much for that. We'll take that photo down there. And that means it's time for everybody's favorite weird news game, Bluff the co-host. Oh boy, Brian was waiting for it. Janet's waiting for it. Paul, he's waiting for it. A lot of our fans love Bluff the co-host. So simple game. I have 3 stories similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon. One big difference. All of those were true. These stories may be true. They may be a bluff. It's up to you, Karen and John, to decide real or bluff. Wagering is allowed, so place your bets. John and Karen, put your hands on the buzzer. Let's get right to story number 1. Take your daughter to work day is a chance for girls to see what their dads do all day. But a brain surgeon in Austria took things a bit too far when he let his 13-year-old daughter operate on one of his patients, probing into the man's brain and even drilling into his skull. Now, the patient is okay and didn't know about it until one of the nurses made an anonymous report. The doctor was fired and could be sentenced to prison, where his daughter can help him make license plates. Okay, so take your daughter to work day in Austria. A brain surgeon brought his daughter in and let her perform brain surgery. Real or bluff? We'll start with you, Karen.
I hate to say this, but I think there are some really stupid people out there, including doctors, who would do something like this. So I'm going to say it's real.
Oh, good logic there. Okay, so Karen says it's real. John, how about you?
Oh, I don't know on this one, Paul and Karen. I'll tell you. I mean, this is disturbing to say the least. And I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna pray this is a bluff because how could how could someone entrust someone's life to their daughter that would be doing something such as this with no training or no background? It's to me, it just seems preposterous.
Preposterous. Good. That's our word for today. Preposterous. Okay, so John says it's a preposterous bluff. Karen says it's real. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say congratulations and points go to Karen. That is a real story.
Oh my gosh, Karen, congrats on that. But boy, what a
I didn't want it to be real, but people do
Not only that,
things.
this was in the emergency room. It wasn't just in a regular, it was actually in the
geez. That's even
room.
Worse.
Yeah. So yeah, he was fired, and he is on trial. So at least we got that much going for him. So Karen, Karen's ahead 1-0. Whoa, boy, Karen. Let's get right to story number 2. Sex education in schools is an important but stressful class. So high schools in Hong Kong have decided to help teens deal with the stress by playing co-ed badminton. According to the teacher's manual, co-ed badminton helps the students learn self-discipline and self-control while mastering their desires and getting in shape. School officials say the parents approve and the kids seem to like it, although the strict rules require them to wear very unflattering badminton outfits and refrain from giggling when referring to the shuttlecock. Okay, so instead of teaching sex education in college, they're teaching it a different way by having the kids participate in co-ed badminton. Real or bluff, John?
Well, I have a 50-50 chance of getting this correct, obviously. I'm gonna say in Hong Kong, this is gonna be a true story. I'm gonna say it's true.
50-50. John just flipped his George Washington with a hole in his head quarter, and it came up heads, and he says it's true. All right. Karen, how about you?
Yeah, it sounds like something somebody came up with, thinking that it would control the population if they're playing badminton rather than playing something else. So I'll say it's true.
Maybe baseball, trying to get to second base or
yeah,
third base.
That's it.
We get it. So Karen says it's a real story. John says it's a real story. The judges say congratulations to both of you. That is also a real story.
All right. Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's 2 for 2. Very
How
good.
did they come up with this idea? Well, these kids are having trouble with sex education. Let's let them play badminton.
There's some logic there, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hong Kong logic, John. Okay, so 2-1. 2-1 is the score. Karen's ahead, but everybody knows points are double in round number 3. That means John could come roaring back. So let's get right to story number 3. TV censorship has changed a lot since the early days of television. But in a recent interview, Jerry Mathers, the Beaver, revealed that an early show got away with quite a bit but one scene in particular was cut for an unusual reason. Wally and the Beav ordered a baby alligator in the mail, something you obviously can't do anymore, and a local animal expert told them to feed it milk and brandy, which the Beav also drank and got a little drunk. According to Mathers, what got cut was not that, but a scene in the bathroom where the baby gator was in the bathtub because the censors would not allow them to show a toilet. Television sure has changed, hasn't it? All right, Karen, we'll start with you. An episode, a scene from Leave It to Beaver where the beaver actually got drunk was okay, but they couldn't show a toilet. Real or bluff?
Well, I've watched a lot of Leave It to Beaver because I live with a guy who only watches old shows. I don't really believe the part about Beaver getting drunk, but I do believe the part about the bathtub and not showing the toilet. So I'm going to say it's a real story.
Ooh, okay. Karen says it's a real story. John, how about you?
Well, that's the 1950s, right, or early 60s, and I could imagine that to be the case also. So I'm going to say it's true as well.
Wow. Okay. So you both say that's a real story. Let's check with the judges. And the judges say, yes, that is a real story, the real episode. Beaver did get a little drunk. It was, believe it or not, it was okay back then. Although, Ward got mad. But that's all. They could not show the toilet. They argued about the toilet. What a different world we live in today. So let's check with the score. The score is 3-2. That means Karen is our winner this week.
Congratulations, Karen.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess let's see. You didn't hunt for Bigfoot. You didn't study for Bluff the co-host. I don't know, John. It's we got our eye on you. Reviews are coming up. We may.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're going to be, Annette and I will be studying this week to make sure with those flashcards that we'll be prepared for next week's show. That's all I have to say.
It sounds good. Sounds good. Well, that means we've reached the end of another great episode of What in the World. I want to thank Karen Hale, our producer, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, co-host. Thank you for everything you do for our show, Karen, as always. Thank you for everything you do for all the podcasts at newclevelandradio.net. Go there, find out how to download us from all the platforms, find out how to find us on YouTube. We've got, there's a link there to Yes, I Can Coaching with Karen. If you're looking for my book, it's not on there, but you can find my book on Amazon or at paulseaburn.com, where you can find also a link back to newclevelandradio.net. We're all interlinked somehow on the internet these days. Also, I want to thank my old buddy, John DiNallo, from college days to today. He still looks good, even in his Hawaiian shirt and new hat. So welcome back, John. Good to see you again.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Paul and Karen and audience. It's great to be back and looking forward to next week's show.
That's right. And John thanked our audience, and I'm going to thank them as well. You're the reason why we do this every week. Without you, we wouldn't be interested. We hope that you have as much fun listening to the show as we do putting it on. And I love doing shout outs. So thank you I'm not going to shout out your names anymore now, but you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on my website. You can contact us through Karen at newclevelandradio.net. Send us a link. Let us know that you're listening, that what you like, what you don't like, and we'll say hi. And on that note, I think go Dallas Wings. Let's see, go Guardians. If the Guardians need help, Guardians need
Browns.
Yeah. Go Browns. Browns opening day is up next in 2 weeks.
September 8th, right? September 8th, right? They're going to open up. Yeah.
So go all your high school teams, all the college teams, everybody's starting up. So we'll have a lot of sports hopefully we'll have a lot of sports to talk about next week as well. On that note, I'm going to go outside where it's still hot and sticky, and we will see everybody next week.
Next week,
right
after the holiday. Have a safe
that's right.
Labor Day weekend.
That's
Bye.
right.
Labor Day weekend.